Hey guys, welcome back. Today's a pretty special day. What day is it, Paisley?
ISOPOD day.
ISOPOD day. That means every Saturday morning, as you guys know, Paisley and I get up and we come downstairs and we take care of all the isopods. So what do we got to do?
Feed the ISOPOD.
That's right. So stay tuned. All right, Paisley. So what do we got to do today?
Feed the ISOPOD.
All of them?
Uh-huh.
Are they always hungry on Saturdays?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So what's all this stuff we got here? What is this stuff?
Cuttlebone.
And what's Cuttlebone for?
ISOPOD.
Yeah? And what does it do for the isopods?
Give them calcium.
What is it? What is it?
Calcium.
Calcium, you're right. And that helps them grow, right? And what are these?
Nuggets.
Nuggets? Nuggets of what? Are they fish food nuggets?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's probably one of the main foods that we use. And the other thing we use, and we like to make this up on the weekends, is a gel diet. This is one of the Rapashi diets. It's actually two of the Rapashi diets, and I just mix them together. And it's a gel diet that cures overnight, and it's good to go. And then we got our water ready, and this is reverse osmosis water, so it's nice and pure. That's a really big isopod, Paisley. Who is that?
Orangey.
That's Orangey. He's come downstairs again? Is he going to help us with all the isopods?
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, thanks for coming, Orangey. Let's get to it. Now, we keep a fairly diverse collection of isopods. We're not always trying to get more and more and more species. We just like species that are unique, different, species that we can tell a story about. One thing you'll notice is that there's many different forms of ventilation that we've tried over the years to find out what works absolutely best for all the different animals. We're still playing with it. Some species, such as a lot of the Percilios, like it a lot drier. Some of the Armadillidiums are a lot more easier going. Kubaras, a little bit easier going. They don't need as much ventilation. They often need it a little bit warmer. But each species, you got to kind of figure out the absolute little sweet spot for it and what it likes best. So today we're going to go over a good representation of what we have for some of our main isopods. And that is going to encompass all three genera. So it's going to be Porcellio, Armadillidium, and Cubaras. Hope you enjoy. First up is one of our brand new cultures. These four containers that you're going to see, the first four, are some of our newest cultures that we've started up. This is Armadillidium gestroi. This is one of the ones in the Armadillidium. They get real big. It's not even full size, but very, very attractive pattern. But all around, a very easy to care for, beautiful, and somewhat prolific isopod species once it gets established. I can see that they've eaten most of their cuttlebone down. So we'll give them a fresh cuttlebone. The next one is another one of our newer isopod cultures, and another prolific species of Armadillidium. These ones are just young, so they're just starting to show their true coloration. These are Armadillidium vulgari, and this is the Magic Potion line. And these ones were a recent import we brought in from Europe, but these are the Japan line. The Japan line is characterized by a lot more finer spotting and so forth. But they are starting to take off well. You see the leaf litter is all still in very good shape. But they have no food. And I don't see any more cuttlebone. So we're going to give them some fresh cuttlebone. It's probably still there. It's probably just underneath the substrate. And we'll give them a spoonful of the Rapashi gel diet. And the container's the same way as most of them. For the Armadillidium, I keep it at about a third of it is the long fibered sphagnum. That's their moisture sink, and that's towards one side. And then the front side has got all their media and the leaf litter and stuff. I have ventilation in several spots. There's ventilation right here. And then I have ventilation in several spots along the front, and then one also here on the side as well. So we get a good cross breeze going through, and then the back where the moisture sink is can retain the moisture a little bit better. This seems to be about the happy medium for me. You'll notice that a lot of the surface of the moss has dried out a little bit. And this is, to me, is kind of the perfect medium I'm trying to get to in my weekly maintenance. I don't want it to come back a week later and still find all the food and it to be sopping wet. That's definitely not what we want. In this container, though, is another one of the recent European imports. And this is Armadillidium maculatum, the yellow zebra. Now, this one is not a truly fixed species. And what I mean by that, or morph, in that a lot of them are not really bright yellow like some of them. A lot of them are more like a greenish color. So to really maintain this colony and keep them as the ones that you want them to be or that were intended, you're going to want to do a fair bit of maintenance for them or culling to ensure that your line stays nice and clean. But we got this one because our normal maculatum culture has always done very well. And I thought Paisley would really like the nice color. And she does. So they're a welcome addition to our cultures. We're going to get them some food and water, and we'll get on to the next. This next one is a pretty special culture. Which one is this, Paisley?
Oranges.
Oranges. Percilio, laevis. These are orange. And Paisley calls them orangey. Why do you call them orangey?
Because they're orange.
And they look like?
Orangey.
Where's orangey?
Right here.
Hi, orangey. What do you think, Orangey? Well, you're a little bit bigger than all the other guys. But let's see. Let's see if we can find some. Orangey can sit right there. Let's see if we can find some. Well, there's a few right there. This is a newer culture. And this culture, as I've mentioned before, was a gift from my dear friends Cheyenne and Ivan over at Species Canada. They've recently started up a YouTube channel. I'll put a link up here in the corner for you guys. You should definitely go check them out. They specialize in a lot of very obscure gecko species and a lot of very unique snakes. They're two extremely talented individuals, and there's going to be some big things coming from them. But I helped them one day, and they sent home this culture of orange isopods for Paisley. And they're doing quite well.
Daddy, put up the one that you got for these guys.
Okay, you want to put it in?
Mm-hmm.
Put it in. That's some calcium. Put it in. Yep, calcium's good. We've still got a bit of their cuttlebone here. Still got some cuttlebone pieces here. Let's get them some food.
the one that you got out for
That's
them.
okay. That's good.
Listen to big pieces and little pieces in my hand.
Okay, we're going to give them some food.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to give them some.
You want to give it to them? Okay. Put it right about here. Those are also another source of calcium. Those things that you see there, those are eggshells from our chickens. That's not coming off the spoon, is it?
Angie's going to cry out.
All right.
Angie.
This is another one of the probably most prolific species that we actually carry. And this is Armadillidium granulatum. They are absolutely everywhere, and you can see the multitude of generations within the enclosure. Easily one of my most prolific species. Be cautious not to crunch any of them, because they fill every nook and cranny. But they are beautiful nonetheless. And they've completely cleaned up their food from last week. Because they're so prolific, we're going to give them a nice big chunk of rapashi. And we're going to give them a couple of what we refer to as nugs. And the nugs are basically, they are a fish food. These are actually a koi food, which is a carp that's often used for pond fish like goldfish. And it's a very low protein diet. It's primarily vegetable based. So it's a good alternative source for them. And I like the fact that it's all contained in one little nugget. Next up is another very prolific species for us. This is Armadillidium klugeeye, and this is the true clown isopod, and this is the Montenegro variant. There are several different variants, and we currently have two of them within our collection. That one's got a bit of variability in its patterning, but extremely prolific for us. It's like we've gone through a cycle where a lot of the adults have seemed to have passed on, but we definitely have an absolute ton of juveniles coming up. So, an extremely healthy colony. They've eaten most of their cuttle bone. They still have some. Their leaf litter is still in good shape. We're just going to give them some food, move on to the next. Now this is a wonderful, unique species. This is Porcellio magnificus, and it is one of the ones that gets one of the biggest ones. However, they only breed generally once a year. They're very, very seasonal. And obviously I did well this year. But one thing you'll notice, or you might not notice, is there's not a lot of presence of the very, very large old adults. The big males on these ones can easily get 2 inches plus in size. It's a fair size female. Here's a nice big, here's a pretty big male right here. He's saying, no way. Look at the large ISOPODs. He wants to be back with his friends. There we go. This one, I think within a week or two, we're probably going to have to add some more leaf litter. Some of the Porcillios are not the most avid decomposers for leaf litter and stuff, and a lot of the Porcillios actually prefer a little bit higher protein in their diets. But I think they're an absolutely wonderful species. You can see there's 1, 2. They're just about to molt. This is one that I mentioned earlier that is extremely prolific for us. And that's our maculatum, the zebra isopod. One of the ideal ones for most people to start with. They're affordable, they're easy to care for, they're strikingly beautiful. This one actually, this cultivar is actually the line that's called France, and the adults, as you can see the big adult there, they get a lot larger than the normal maculatum. But a very, very beautiful species. This one's probably one of Dad's favorite ones, right, Paisley?
Mm-hmm.
Which one is this?
Guys.
You're right. I don't know why it's one of my favorite ones. I like the colors. It's simple. It's classic. It gets really, really big. I'm getting some unique little morphs coming out here. They often throw chocolates. Now, when I, don't get all excited when I mean chocolates. I'm not saying legitimate chocolates. Some people are getting, woohoo, treats. That's not what I mean. They just throw a color pattern that is more chocolate colored. But for the large Spanish Percilios, Hoffman Segai is actually very, very prolific compared to some others. They might be a little bit tricky to get started. They need a lot more air movement. They need it a lot drier. But once you figure out those basic pieces of the puzzle, it's easy to keep. Wonderful, wonderful species. When I first started into this foray, I started with 3 species. Hoffman Segai was one of the first, and this was also one of the first, and this was Hassii, and this is the high yellow form. Very striking. Same as Hoffman Segai. It likes it a little bit drier. But other than that, care is pretty straightforward. get them some food, get on to the next. Here's a much more uncommon species. This is an Armadillidium. It's got subtle patterns that are reminiscent of several of the other ones, but it is a very distinct and different species. This one took a. This one I didn't. I thought my culture of these crashed at the beginning. I had my initial ones, and then it just seemed to have died off. But they seem to have come back with a vengeance. And this species is Armadillidium fronta triangulum, and these ones come from Greece, from the area of Corfu. This is my other culture of klugeeye, and these ones are a little bit darker in coloration, but just as prolific. And these ones are Dubrovnik. As you can see, they're just as prolific as the other ones. They are beautiful species. They don't like the light, and they're rather quick. So these are ones that I can shoot video on them. But taking pictures of these guys has definitely posed some challenges for me. These ones I find truly fascinating, and they will definitely be a topic of a video entirely on themselves down the road. These are Armadillo Aficionalis. And they have a lot of very, very unique traits about them. But they definitely, they roll themselves up into that tight little ball. That is also characteristic of a pill bug. Once they feel comfortable, they'll open up, start rolling around. Another wonderful, easy to care for species. This cultivar is from Greece. This is the other original, one of my first 3 species that I had. This is Porcellio, ornatus, high yellow. A lot of variability again. This is one that I get sent. Most people tend to comment on this one saying this is one of their favorites. And what's completely ironic is it just doesn't do much for me. And I don't know why. Some I really like, some species, for one trait or another, or a patterning or something. And these ones, they're okay. I think they're wonderful. They're just definitely not my favorite, and I don't know why. But they do well for me. I think they're equally beautiful. Until recently, Kubaras were very, very hard to find in Canada. Extremely pricey. These are Kubaras red skirt, or often called red edge. I started out with 5 individuals of these. And they've definitely taken off. They got that standard Kubaras face. Looks like a little duck. Kubaras like it a little bit warmer. A little bit more humid. Other than that, the care for this one is no different than the others. I don't believe this one is a lot of Kubaras come from caves over in Thailand, Cambodia, Asia, Vietnam sort of areas. And I don't necessarily believe that this one is a cave species. I may very well be wrong. I've not done the research to it. But I don't find these ones to be as calcium dependent as a lot of the other ones, say like rubber duckies. Even though they may not be, I still offer the calcium in the form of the cuttlebone and in the broken down eggshells. And then I also use calcium carbonate powder in the substrate mix as well. So I make sure that it's always available for the animals. This one is for one of the most coveted ones. And there is a little baby of it right there. A little baby rubber ducky. They've been doing really well. There's another little baby in there. They tend to hunker down. There's an adult emerging right there. Let's take a closer look. Yeah, there's babies of all different sizes. They're doing quite well. And one of our newer and absolute most favorite one that we have right now would have to be, without question, the beautiful lemon blues. Now you'll notice there's a lot of springtails. I tend to put more springtails, or a very good dose of springtails, within my moist colonies, the ones that tend to have a higher moisture content. And it really does help a lot with maintaining the growth of mold within the enclosures. More humidity, more heat, you're going to get more mold. So they do a good job at controlling it. Absolutely beautiful species. All right, Paisley, this is probably the most important isopod culture we have, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which ones are these?
Dairy cows.
And these are these Dad's dairy cows?
No.
Who's
mine?
Yours. And you help take care of them every Saturday usually, right? Yeah. Needless to say, dairy cows, this is Porcellio laevis dairy cow. They're probably, again, one of the most ideal starters. Cultures are readily available from anybody that keeps isopods. They're attractive, they're easy to care for, they're prolific, they eat almost anything. And they're wonderful, wonderful isopods.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think, Paisley? Did we do a good job today?
Mm-hmm.
Should we give these guys some food?
Mm-hmm.
Give the last of it to these guys because they're pretty hungry. Well, I'll give them all the gel food that's left. These guys are very, very aggressive feeders, so we never shy about these guys eating up the food.
Just give them 3 of these.
Okay, gonna give them some nugs too? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Special day.
And there's one more.
That's lots. Well, I hope you guys have enjoyed our quick little tour of our Saturday morning feeding. Dad and Paisley down in the fish room, in the isopod room, in the lair of the Mad Aquarist. We always have all sorts of fun and interesting things to look at, don't we, Paisley?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, as always, my friends, thank you for watching. Take care.